Hey Bear, how's it going? I want to talk to you about the modern education system and why it sucks, and also why I don't think that it's likely that it's going to change anytime soon. So, have you ever had a thought about your school years and were like, I was taught so many different things, and have I even used half of them in my life? Like, do you remember how a covalent bond is formed between two atoms, or what's the definition of a tangent? Or what, I don't know, which exact day the French Revolution started on. I don't remember any of that either. But I have been thinking about that, and I know that modern kids do have this view of the education system that it kind of crams a lot of things into their heads, and they're not really interested in getting all that extra knowledge into their heads. So I know there are some issues with the modern education system, and first of all, obviously, we need to understand how did it come to be and when it was created. And basically, it was created in the 19th century. Uh, it was during the Great Industrial Revolution, where suddenly the countries and the rich people realized that they can upscale the production of all the most of the goods by so much, but you need to have much more working bees for that. You need people who will sit quietly and follow the orders and will do the work and will have some basic understanding of the work and should be able to read the instructions. And bam, the worker schools were born, where kids had to sit tightly in rows, quietly listen to the teacher, respect the authority, follow the rules, obey the schedule, and basically they were prepared to the modern life of a working bee at a factory at school. And by the way, coincidentally, do you know which other um, institute also loves when young kids obey the authority and listen to orders and follow the instructions? Army also loves that. And as we know, the 19th century and the previous century was full of wars at Europe. So that was a win-win for the government. And obviously, initially, it didn't take so many years to complete the education as it does now, because who needs a 14-year-old sitting at a desk at school? They can already do some work, right? And let's skip 200 years. What has changed at a modern school? Kids sit in nice tidy rows in front of the teacher and quietly listen to them and have to obey them and have to respect them, and sometimes even questioning is not really allowed or is frowned upon. And does it really work for kids who are energetic, who want to move around, stand up, dance, run, fight, scream, experiment, break things, and they don't want to learn at all because it's tedious and boring and repetitive and annoying, and it's not fun. It's not fun for most kids to start learning things at school. But it kind of, why it didn't really change, because it kind of works to some extent. I mean, the school system works, right? So I bet all of your all the people you know around you, except for the toddlers, know how to read, write, know some basic facts about the world, how the science works, that we flew to the moon, that we have vaccines, etc., etc., etc. So if you force all the kids into the same educational system, they will have to, some will have to adjust, some will be forced to learn by the peer pressure or by their family or by any other authority figure in their life, and some will just get lucky and meet a teacher or two who will love who would love the subject and will bring that love of the subject to the kids and make them interested in the subject and motivate them, etc., etc. But all in all, we do force a lot of unnecessary information into our kids' brain, right? Don't we? Because I remember when I was at school, we had very similar arguments with the teachers, and their counter argument was always the same. So you don't think that you need to learn all the capitals and you don't need to remember them by heart. What? Do you think you will always have a map or an atlas or a globe with you? No, no, no. So you don't want to learn how the I don't know, all the square roots and how are they calculated. What, do you think you will always have a calculator in your in your pocket, you stupid kid? And yes, I do have a calculator, an encyclopedia, a globe, a map in my pocket. I have all of that in a single device, and I use it to watch TikToks every day. So I strongly believe that the school system sucks. It teaches our kids a lot of unnecessary facts, and it does not teach them to use their brains. It doesn't teach them analytical skills, critical thinking. It doesn't teach them how to do independent research, how to fact check, how to do all that. That is honestly becoming more and more critical nowadays with how broken the information how broken the information environment is for all of us, right? But the sad news is that no one really is interested in fixing that, right? Because the school system itself, nah, it's not going to change, right? Because as I mentioned, it is kind of doing its job, and plus we know in the history of humanity, all these socio-economical systems that have ever been created have one thing and one thing in common. They are extremely resilient to change. They hate change. Not resilient, they're resistant to change. They hate change, they don't like the internal pressure to change, and they absolutely resent the external pressure to change. So the school system will never reform itself. The parents, they survived through it, and they probably think that the kids are gonna survive. And I think that parents don't think that they're stupid or they lack something after finishing schools and universities, so they think, okay, school did a great job with me, it'll probably do a great job with my kid or kids. Or they just like, well, I know how to read and write. The kid is gonna learn that. I don't have time to teach them anything. Let the school do its job. And obviously, government is not interested in any reforms with the modern education system. If anything, I think that a lot of governments would like education systems to get worse, because who needs a whole population of smart, critical thinkers who can act independently and do their research? What's next? We're gonna fact check politicians and verify their campaign promises before they got elected? No. No one, no sane politician wants any of that stuff in their life. So there it is. The topic that has been on my mind for the last couple of weeks, month, I don't know. A lot of rant, no solution, unfortunately. I do however, want to leave you with a bit of hope. I know that Scandinavian school systems have gone through a major reform like a quarter century ago. Obviously, Scandinavian schools is a bit of a generalization, but all in all, they have, I think, more in general between themselves nowadays after this reform than with the rest of European or American school system. So maybe their school system or educational system is going to spread around and change the world for the better. I don't know. One can just hope, right? See you, bear.